Good evening to you wherever you are on this planet. Welcome to Velvet Bite Radio. This is the Tuesday show where, of course, we're going to be talking about, yes, conspiracy and government and vampires that live in our world, but of course, the occult studies, because I find, and I've engineered the show this way, that they all intertwine, and you can't have the vampire system without having the occult. And it's an interesting connection. And we could keep going down all these rabbit holes every day. My goodness, we have Jonocide, Incognito, Matthew Lee Embleton in the room so far. Before I get into the main presentation, this is going to be interesting. I'll just remind everybody to subscribe to the channel. And of course, visit the website, melissadonharris.com. It's got all the links there. Also, the Substack, I think I have 11. It says I have 11 subscribers, but I think it's some are followers, some are subscribers, so it won't let me stream there yet. So if you're watching, help me out. Go over to Substack and subscribe rather than follow. It's melissadonharris.substack.com. I think Substack makes it confusing. I'm not entirely sure, but melissadonharris.substack.com. It's over there. Check it out. Well, I'm a little bit of a hermit, and I decided to unhermit yesterday and go out and see the latest Conjuring film, The Conjuring 4, Last Rites. And, well, what can I say? You know what? I enjoyed it generally, but of course now whenever I watch things, I'm sort of analyzing and removing myself. And it's really hard to remove yourself from a movie when you're in a dark room and you're enveloped by a giant screen and you have the sound effects. It's really hard to distance yourself and not get the emotions triggered. But I was analyzing how it was triggering emotions, and I really wasn't afraid. I mean, it didn't terrify me as more as it's invoking other deep emotions about family and connectivity and, children and fear about your child dying, stuff like that was in the movie. It's one of those that could wait till it comes out on Netflix or whatever, but I'll say this about it. It nailed 1986, so they should get some kind of award for set design and costume design. 1986, I was 9 then, so I'm watching this and I'm like, whew, transported. I was back in the 80s. Everybody thinks that the 80s is like, all this funky colors and geometrical shapes and neons. And no, if you had a house in the 80s, you probably still had some 70s left in there. You know what I mean? You still had some shag carpet and some wood paneling, with some 80s TV and some 80s telephone and maybe a new table set or whatever, but you had a mixture. So it was like a merger, and they literally got that, and they did it pretty spot on. They got their times and their dates kind of messed up with the ages of the different characters. It didn't make sense, They're saying they're born at different times than they were in real time, but it was okay. It wasn't bad. I know the Warrens tend to be shysters. Oh, Woo Ryder and Kirby, welcome to the room. Thank you so much for coming. Make sure to thumbs up this show. Add it to a playlist. Put your comments. Keep commenting. It helps the stream show up. All that stuff helps us. What it does is it gets the algorithm to go, oh, okay, people are noticing that. We're going to push it up and let people notice it more. That's what it does. So The Conjuring was pretty good. It was a lot better than the third one. I didn't like the third one. It was weird. I went and seen it with a friend back in Comox. And it was I don't know. It wasn't my preferred one. A lot of people prefer the first one, the Perron family. This one was supposed to be their last case. They're advertising this as the last movie, but guys, I just heard some news saying that they're going to try to make an HBO sort of TV series out of it. So this may not be the last we hear of Ed and Lorraine Warren. Maybe in theater, but thank you, Kirby. Thanks about the nails, and thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Of course, today we're going to be talking something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about how the deep state, I thought the new one was the third one. The new one's the fourth one. There is the first one, which was on the Perron family. There's the second one, which is on the Enfield case. The third one is The Devil Made Me Do It. And then there's this one, The Last Rites. And then there's The Nun and Annabelle. There's a bunch of sub movies. There's the four main ones, genocide. So it's a fourth one. It was okay. We know there's a lot of questions to question about the Warrens. I won't deny that, but I still went and enjoyed it. So tonight's topic, I wasn't sure what we were going to talk about, and then I started to watch this video, and it was from Chase Hughes, and it was entitled, "Once You Know This, Every Psyop Becomes Obvious." He released a video about 7 or 8 months ago, back in January of this year, trying to tell everybody how they can know a psyop is happening. And so it gave me the idea that, of course, I know it's all propaganda and emotions and ritual. So I thought, well, let's talk about this in terms of the deep state and different governments manipulating people. Like it's a hex, it's magic, because it is a form of magic. Obviously, I don't think it's bibbity bobbity boo, or, say it could be satanic sacrifice. We can get into that when you guys can mention it. But as I started to explore this in this video, I really went down a little bit of a rabbit hole where I realized there's a bit of a trick to this video, and we're going to analyze it. And how I'm going to do this is I'm actually made some slideshows, and I'm going to tell you what the hex is, what the spell is, what they're doing. According to this video, I'm going to do it in my voice. And then we're going to go over and analyze the video. And I'm going to tell you what bothered me about the video and the guy who runs the video. And we're going to analyze him, because it feels like it's a hex within a hex within a hex. Like it's a psyop telling you about a psyop, telling you about a psyop. Do you know what I mean? If there's something strange going on here. And I found some strange stuff. It's like when Dr. Phil got involved with well, Dr. Phil's kind of weird in the first place, but when he got involved with Trump, and he's kind of a fake psychiatrist online on TV, in my opinion, it's bizarre. So let's go look at the slideshow, and we're going to talk about this little ritual hex that this man named Chase Hughes tells us about. And he acts like he's doing this on our behalf because he's so kind. We're going to talk about this. And the acronym, which is a spell. And how this could just all be Sesame Street, ABC, 1, 2, 3, and not all of it. So we're going to switch over here. And it's called Fate. And it's how they put a spell on you. And we're analyzing the video on the topic. The acronym is Fate. That is the spell. That is the hex. And what does it stand for? Okay, so we'll decode the spell they call Fate. We will go through the elements of the acronym, outline real life examples, start by questioning our own brainwashing, not others. Because you know those people, they go into psychology class and next thing you know, they're diagnosing everybody and it's just a mess. Well, it's the same thing. You don't want to go, you want to be self-aware rather than pointing the finger at everybody. And then once you get really good, then you can kind of notice it in everybody. So we're going to notice it in ourselves. And then think about how there's other elements than what he mentions in this Fate, that's secret. We're also going to analyze his video that displays the information because it's sus, 100%. How is this black magic? And of course, remember to subscribe to the channel and thumbs up and save this to your playlist before we go on. So what is Fate? What is our fate? Fate stands for focus, authority, tribal, and emotion. So these are basically the 4 steps that he outlines in his video on how to tell when the deep state or your government is performing a psyop on you, which is mind control, which is witchcraft, which is dark. It's not witchcraft. Kidding. It's just dark, intended magic and projection. Here we go. So, focus on what? The focus part is to focus and get your attention and your mind to focus in the direction that they want you to focus on. Okay? So once they do that, the first part is to grab your mind in the first place. Get you over there, get you looking in the direction that they want you to look. This is done by presenting shocking images, repetition of those images, along with repeating headlines, repeating words, repeating phrases, and you'll see that everyone's repeating them. This is psychology because they know if everyone's repeating them, you'll start repeating them, even if it's the illusion that everyone's repeating them. They already have a system that's well equipped that they've installed over years to do this. They do it through multiple sources of media and performers. They've got 24/7 news, TV shows, streaming platforms, social media influencers. They've got people in the podcasts. They've had them for a long time. Most of those podcasts out there are in with it. They've got print, movies, the music industries, universities, politicians, doctors, corporations, churches, professionals, on and on and on. They've got things installed in there. And so those will all help them, all those avenues to get your mind to focus somewhere. So don't ever believe you're a little me. Remember, I always say this on this podcast. Not little me, they want your mind. Okay, so that's the first shift. And these are examples of the focus. This is the F and the fate. So they'll play media 24/7 on a shocking event. It will seem like everything is rolled out too perfectly. It's like you have the pandemic, suddenly there's all these pandemic documentaries. Like boom, 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 that should take a long time to make. But suddenly within a month, there's a whole bunch of really high quality content. Think 9/11, the pandemic, October 7th, Princess Diana's death and funeral, Michael Jackson's death. They are preying on humans' natural program to focus on negative information in the environment in order to warn the rest of the tribe to survive. That is something we do instinctively, and they're warning, they're using that, they're taking advantage of it, they're preying on that instinct. They may use magical symbols, words, and imagery that we know little about that means something more to them. That might reference, if it's way up on the totem pole, it might reference something really dark. They also will use subliminal messages. And you'll see it over and over and over again. And they repeat it so that they know if they show it 24/7, eventually everybody will see it. It's going to be there. Okay? Then we have step 2, authority. Are you questioning? It's like Cartman, the authority figure, appealing to specialists and authority figures. The appeal to authority, super, super important step. And of course, appealing to authority makes everyone else the little insignificant you. They will present expert panels, experts who are weighing in outside of their fields, show trials, celebrity opinions, and celebrity endorsements. They will not present alternate specialists, and if they do, they'll make them look idiotic, that do not go with how they want to shape your behavior and mind. Remember, this is engineering consent, engineering your behavior and manipulating you to steer you in a way that they want your mind to go. They will smear those individuals as deniers who go against them or crazy. They will create false headlines that say the opposite of what the study they talk about really says. Examples of appeal to authority are doctors who have their degree in English literature weighing in on medical issues. People will think that their title of doctor means medical. They will interview popular actors who probably know little on all of these topics. Those actors may even be on a script. They might get a singer to sing about it and say it in their performance. You see this during political campaigns. Taylor Swift, Jennifer Lopez, Madonna might come and say something. They will trash independent experts, even if they have won major accolades for their inventions or research. Like the guy who invented those tests were speaking out against the validity of them, and they called him a lunatic. This creates a hysteria because they've already showed you the fear part, which is in the focus. They get you to be afraid. They will use religious leaders. If it doesn't align with a narrative in the focus area, it will not be allowed. You won't hear it. You might hear small people saying, hey, this happened. Hey, this happened. Hey, we saw empty hospitals, but they won't put that on there. They will discourage you from doing your own research because you're not an expert. How dare you? Okay, so that's the A in fate. That's step 2 of the ritual. Step 3 is tribe. They exploit our tribal instincts in order to divide the population against one another. Super important to maintain power is have us warring against each other in this way on the pyramid instead of that way on the pyramid up to the top. Crafty old crafters. They're black magicians. So humans feel safest in a tribe of other humans whom they have common interests, geographical locations, and values, and may look similar too. Polarization happens when it's the us versus them messaging that will ensue as the third step if anyone questions step 1 and 2. They will use stereotypes about other groups to prey on your fears. Often, they've placed those stereotypes within their own media over decades, for years, so they can call it forth for certain target groups. Examples is they will present the other group as the dissenter, and they will often have actors play both sides. So if they have a mass vaccination goal, they will present critical individuals or groups as anti-vaxxers or deniers of science, deniers of truth, even though their science is all propaganda. It's not real science. They will present lefties as being all commies or unpatriotic. They will call conservative Nazis or use the term racist when you present facts. You won't speak out because you're afraid to be associated with a group that has negative associations, even if it's a lie. That's the whole group. I want to belong. If I don't, historically, if you didn't belong, you'd be dead. You'd be gone. It would be the end of you. It's essentially non-factual, one-liner character assassinations with no substance, literal name calling. Step 4, emotion. That's the last step in fate, is your emotions. And that is ultimately the key. These 3 steps lead up to emotion because emotion manifests. So it says here, don't get so emotional. Why is this such a super weapon in magic? Why is your emotion? Every magician, every person doing a spell knows that it's about your feelings and it's about the other person's feelings and how you want to manipulate those feelings and so you can manipulate the behaviors, so you can manipulate the actions, which manipulates the outcome. So emotion manifests your reality, especially if you act on the emotion. So they're going to trigger your emotion so you act fast. They're going to make it alarming so you act quickly. Negative emotion is in the baseline chakra. It's not higher up thinking. It's not calm. Emotion never uses logic. There's not a lot of logic when they're and it fluctuates all day long and it can be destabilized easy. So it's easier to control. Whereas logic and calm is harder to get at. So let's go for the examples of evoking emotion. Presenting false information about babies burning in ovens to invoke emotions of rage, fear, and revenge. Showing 9/11 nonstop on media to trigger rage and emotion from Americans so the population will beg for the war they had already planned. Using slogans repeatedly in false headlines that enrage the population. We got some more. There's so many examples. I mean, you guys could pop them up in the chat. Showing 24/7 media of Michael Jackson's death to invoke deep despair. Also, they'll control the narrative and how they die because everyone's attention will go vroom right to the little black cube TV. showing phony show trials to enrage you against a falsely accused group of people, J6, staging assassination attempts to emotionally engage you to turn the tide in their favor, fake investigations and report to cover up real assassinations, showing real assassinations live to enrage you and make you despair, showing beheadings that might be false to scare you. They've done all this. They've literally done all this. So manipulation tactics to watch for rapid compliance shift. They push this out and suddenly they want you to shift and comply really quickly. They don't want you to wait. They don't want people to have other opinions. They don't want anything like that. They want rapid compliance. That's the process. Timing of information release. You should be like, why are they releasing this now? Again, it's appeal to emotion, straw man arguments, bandwagon fallacy, false dilemmas they'll present, ad hominem attacks, appeal to authority. It'll be a slippery slope, hasty generalizations. There'll be red herrings. It's meant to make you look over there, and there'll be red flags. Okay? That's the spell. That's it in a nutshell. That is the occult, dark, crazy spell. It's called fate. The spell of fate. And this man here, this is Chase Hughes. And so we're going to analyze the actual video where he's talking. This is going to take us some time. It'll give me some voice rest. And just so you know, this is analysis YouTube for educational purposes. So there you have it. But we're going to go and analyze this video and analyze this man, because one thing you're going to learn about the system is when stuff like this comes out and it booms on YouTube, that means the algorithm's okay with it. That means the system's okay with it. That means we need to dig deeper in where this actual video came that tells us their spell, because this video might be an actual red herring. So we're going to go over there and we're going to let Mr. Chase talk for himself, guys. Let's replace this with the actual Psyop video. Now, let's go back to the beginning. And let's see if we can see some unique things about this video.
One of the great challenges in this world is knowing enough about a subject.
Let's mute that guy. We don't want that. Okay. They watch us. They study us.
The intelligent minorities can.
Okay, so what did you notice right there in the first 17 seconds? What are they doing? Once you know this, every psyop becomes obvious. What are they doing? In this video that's telling us about psyops, they're doing focus right away. They're showing us crazy images. They're telling us, they're watching us, they're after us, they're getting us engaged. Like, who's watching us? Oh my God, what's going on? 17 seconds in, and they've started the ritual that they say they're exposing the ritual.
Engineer consent through the use of manipulation, propaganda, and control. And we should do it.
People have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
We are in the midst of a serious financial crisis, and the federal government is responding with...
And they're just continuing. Focus. They're like, this is step one, this whole first minute into it.
Decisive action.
I know that the American people share my deep belief that if a danger exists in the world, it is a danger shared by all.
We need to actually double down on the public health measures.
You can't look at that television and say,
these image and this cut is literally engaging you in a fearful way. It's ominous, it's nihilistic, it is, yeah. I can't say any more about it than that. It's very much focus.
nothing happened on the 6th.
We'd like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it. It's very simple. You're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
Right? That's a call to emotion and identity and tribal liberty. They're calling your tribe, you're American, you're a patriot. He's calling it right there. He's signifying that right there. That is basically tribe.
Most people have no awareness of how easily our behavior and even our identity can be completely taken.
In fact, they're so unaware that they don't even realize that this video is doing that very thing.
Over. But people are waking up.
Yeah, and so now they're trying to get you with, hey, you're waking up, you're so smart. That's why you're here at this video.
I spent 20 years in the U.S. military. I'm a behavior expert. I've trained Psyops. I'm the best-selling author in behavioral psychology. I want to show you exactly how to...
Okay, what did he just do there? What did he just do there? Step number 2, he just did an appeal to authority right before your eyes, what he says that Psyops do. That was appeal to authority, and then he's staring at us like creepy ass, like if I stared into my camera like, hey guys, I have 5 years in podcasting, and I've had my graphic design degree for 10 years, and I've traveled with it's crazy. He's not hearing anything. Okay, well, it's I'm not playing it right now. So there he is. He does an appeal to authority right then and there.
To identify what we call engineered reality, or what some people call psyops. At the end of this, I'm going to give you a tool that's literally going to give you a score out of 100 that shows you how likely something is to be a psyop. Let's do this. So the first thing you need to know is following the FATE model: focus, authority, tribe, and emotion. This is what triggers the mammalian part of our brain that makes all of our real decisions. The first part is focus. Psyops always aim to hijack your attention with repetition, shocking visuals of
right. Here we go.
Fear-inducing scenarios. Some examples are like 24/7 media coverage of a crisis, or constant repetition of terms like unprecedented. So with this, pause and ask, why is this message being pushed so aggressively?
Okay, so why, we could ask that of this video. Why was it being pushed so aggressively? Because right at the same time, he appears on many podcasts and Joe Rogan, and he's self-proclaimed, I'm the #1 expert in psyops. I worked doing psyops on people. Are you ever, if you're in that level where you're working 20 years doing psyops, are you ever ex-military? Are you ever out of it? Or are you doing another psyop presented as an information?
Compare how much airtime different stories.
So we're going to put this up a little bit here. Emotion. We've talked about all this stuff here. This is a good one. The FATE model.
Show.
Save up to 20% for your safe driving with AAA Auto.
I hate commercials. If you pay for YouTube, you don't get the commercials, but I'm not paying them any more money than I have to, which is none. Okay, it's muted. It's muted now because I don't want these commercials on, because I don't want to get accused of promoting things.
Shoppers during a food supply scare. It dominates every broadcast, and it pushes people into fear-driven behavior. Next, question novelty. Our brains are wired to focus on sudden or unusual changes because they signal potential threats or opportunities. And this is true, but we're also with novelty. With novelty, people get excited too. So it's not just negative emotions that they try to trigger. They want euphoric, happy emotions attached with products and certain events. So you go that way because
You're looking for your little hit of euphoria that's associated with whomever.
Evolutionary survival mechanism. Psyops exploit this by creating events that break normal expectations, like unexpected crises or dramatic revelations. So ask yourself, why is this new? So consider if the event or somebody's message has been artificially manufactured or timed. Look for patterns.
So, and there was a comment my husband said, I've seen the guy's video before. He says he's a Psyop expert, and yes, he does have those skills, but he also puts out perhaps he's revealing the method for this video. So if he was revealing the method, he would tell you, in this video, I'm doing the method, and I'm going to reveal it to you by doing it as well. But he doesn't do that. He just subliminally does it. That's why I don't trust him. I think we have to come to a point where we have to realize everything's a psyop, and there's not too much we can trust 100%, that you have to see through the surface layers of everything.
Like sudden shifts in public opinion, trending hashtag that are unusual, or viral videos that seem very coincidental. So for this one, just picture a new viral video just claims to expose a government cover-up, but it conveniently comes out.
Okay, so this guy conveniently comes out when Trump's taking over and is claiming to expose psyops, and it's got millions of views. It's like a massive projection. It's like, okay, well, we should, by his own declaration, we should be questioning him as well, because his video fits this profile. No one had ever heard of him. In fact, I was looking at people's messages who had worked in this kind of psychological manipulation, and they never heard of him before. And no idea who he was. They were like, this is all new. This guy just seemed to come out of nowhere. That's another key.
The exact same day that there's some damaging evidence against some high-ranking official. The timing shifts public focus. All of this is part of the NCI system I developed for teaching tradecraft and extreme psychological operations. And there's even a gigantic textbook for all of this stuff in the description. Definitely not for everybody, but it's definitely the most.
So I got something for you. It's special. Here it is, the big textbook. No one had ever heard. No one knows he's number one. He just makes these claims. Don't worry, we'll get into it beyond this
comprehensive guide
video
in the world on this stuff. So next item, look for.
See that? It's the most comprehensive guide in the world. How does he know that? That's like, it's not like he even has any evidence of it. He has no anyone quoting or saying, yeah, hey, look, I've been doing this for 20 years too, and I'm peer reviewing it, and it's good. He just makes the claim because he knows you'll believe it, because he's just told you. He just did a call to authority, in the second minute of the video. Hey, right? And most people aren't even going to see the irony of that he did that. They're not going to see it for one bit. So
multiple sources. Centralized narratives create an echo chamber, and they silence dissent, and they narrow perspectives. For example, if all media outlets present identical talking points, it is a humongous red flag. So
and most of them do, and you'll see that he's right about that. But you'll see it even, we all think that the podcast world is independent. You'll see these influencers on X. That's why I left X. You'll see them. They all say the same thing. Literally, it's like some group gave them a bunch of money and told them to copy and paste, and they put the same, and they're right-wing influencers, left-wing influencers. It doesn't matter who they are. They're putting the same copy and paste. That's the ritual. Repeat, 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 repeat. Remember when we talked about the Wiccan ritual against Hitler? What do they do in a circle? They repeat, they repeat, they repeat. Well, that's nothing. This is that on cocaine, mescaline, acid, and everything all at once. It is repeat, 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 repeat. It could drive you crazy. And it does drive people crazy. It drives people to do things they wouldn't normally do.
Seek out contrarian or independent voices, even if they challenge something that's already in your head. So in reality, an example, during a maybe breaking health crisis, all the major news outlets report on the exact same study, but independent researchers revealed the study was funded by a company selling the solution. So watch for that group speak. Next is identify cognitive dissonance weapons.
Ironically, he is actually selling a solution to this. You know, he sells things in this video. He sells stuff. He's selling some too.
Talk about how this works. So cognitive dissonance comes up when new information clashes with our identity or our beliefs. So psyops exploit the hell out of this by including micro agreements. Micro agreements are little, small, seemingly harmless concessions to shape your identity. And over time, you're going to unconsciously align your behavior to reduce that internal conflict. And as a weaponization example of this, a psyop might present you as a part of moral.
Technical hoodies are awesome, but bro, they make you look like a mountain douche.
You need the bearskin tactical hoodie
or intelligent enlightenment, like only good citizens do XYZ. If you disagree with that, you risk some identity conflict there. So reflect on your identity and ask, am I being nudged to identify with some other group? So be very careful of any campaigns that are asking for seemingly minor commitments there, like signing petitions, changing your profile picture that evolves into some bigger compliance or demand later. As an example of this, let's say a company launches an ad.
So you notice he used the Russian flag, like someone supporting Russia. When did you ever see anyone put a flag supporting Russia? That was a subliminal little punch. Very few people. It was Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine. Maybe in Russia you saw it, but you could understand why Russians would support Russia because it's their country. Yeah, so this is the cognitive dissonance, which there is going to, like, it gets
a campaign, and they claim real patriots buy local. If you disagree with their product, it feels like rejecting your identity as a patriot.
Okay, I had this as experience on X. I had people approach me because I was sharing content about politics with them, and they approached me about working with them. And I said, okay, you know, I moved here. I hadn't been here long, and they wanted me to help them sell Patriot products. That's how they presented it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And once I got in there, I realized it was a pyramid scan, and they tried to guilt me when I called them out on it. And I said, what are you talking about? This is multi-level marketing. And they were like, well, you don't want to sell Patriot products? And I'm like, this isn't Patriot products. This place has been around since before I was born. And it's like worse than Avon. It's like, this is literally like, what do they call that company? It was multi-level marketing. And so when I called them out, and I called them out on X, they literally were like, block, block, block. They wouldn't talk to me. They were mad. And I'm like, they're dirty players. They were dirty, dirty players. And so they were using people's patriotism and stuff to basically get people into this pyramid scheme where they'd spend lots of money buying the products and selling it for them. And I called them out, and nobody else did. We had this group, this staff room of people, and everybody was like, yeah. Nobody would call it out. And I was like, this is bullshit. And they just freaked. They were not expecting me to call it out, but I called them out. They were douchebags.
So this pushes you to conform. Be very, very skeptical about those identity.
And that's what happened. And even in the rooms and the groups that people were sharing content, everybody conformed. And I was like, to hell with this. You guys are nuts.
Statements. Next is looking for those emotional scripts. And what I mean by this is the scripts that were written in our brains by our ancestors. So manipulated narratives trigger instincts like the fear of loss or scarcity, social rejection, or danger.
This video actually triggers a fear. Very similar. That, you know, especially with anyone who's a patriot, that the government's going to come and get you, and I can help you, and I can do this for you. He's also using a lot of neuro-linguistic programming. And I think that this guy's origins is he's NLP, which is can not be a manipulation, but it often is. And people in multi-level marketing will often use NLP.
For example, a media.
Let's get focusing on the facts.
Compare the claims with other sources. For this, just picture where a politician says something like,
so I don't know.
Industries.
If you guys find out anything about this guy, leave it in the comments, especially if it's post. If you find out what he's associated with, because he's obviously in with the military. That's at least what he says. And he has all this experience, and he's telling us this stuff. But at the same time, he's pushing his own He's pushing it on us. Okay, let's keep going up here. Follow the money. Yeah, we'll follow the money on him. We'll do that later. Manipulative people shift context.
In Predaware's,
they shift context to normalize extreme behavior.
The first wearable anti-inflammatory. Not only does it take away the inflammation,
contexts to normalize extreme behavior. As an example of this, in emergencies, people accept surveillance or martial law that they normally would
That's happening with MAGA right now. They're calling, Donald Trump is saying we need to build all these new freedom cities, which is basically a 15-minute city. So they were shifting what a 15-minute city is and calling it a freedom city. And because they've used the word freedom for that tribe that they want to manipulate, people are going with it, not realizing they're supporting a Marxist socialist freedom city or 15-minute city.
Completely resist. So ask, what is the context? Compare some similar.
What is the context? I don't know, because I don't think he provides any sources or other context himself. There's nobody else that says anything about him. Okay.
Narrative ignores their mistakes and oversimplifies the conflict to prevent a lot of scrutiny. Next, evaluate the frame. So let's do a step-by-step evaluation here. First one is expectation. What are you expected to believe or do based on this thing that you're exposed to in the media? Next is belief. What assumptions are being made about you, like your values or your fears? Then we have perception. So how is reality being shaped, like selective facts or missing contexts? And definition is the final step here when it comes to a frame. What truth is being asserted as something that's completely unchallengeable? This comes up with information suppression. So
here's what I want to know about him is, who does he represent? And why is he giving this information if he's worked for them? Palantir in the wars. Yeah, exactly. Palantir in the wars, freedom cities. Because I think that this video might be like this sort of Sesame Street version. Like, here's FATE. You can say it with me. It feels like I'm in a corporate meeting and they're just like, what's the acronym again? It's FATE. This is your fate. Come on, let's go. What do? What's F stand for, Melissa? Like, I just get that feeling. And he's looking in the camera and he's just like, I'm honest, really. If I hold my eyes open wider and wider and look right at you, don't you believe me? Do you believe me? Like, it just feels really weird. And so I'm wondering what this is. Is this trying to be a red herring and divert people away from diving deeper into what's going on? Because I've got reports of sacrifices and crazy stuff happening on military bases. There's people coming out all the time. Some of that could be planted information. Some of it can be real. Do you see this whole, when they put out so much information, it causes fusion. So nobody knows what to do. So nobody does anything. Or they go crazy and they try to attack the police or do something crazy without thinking. And what we have to do is step back, step ourselves away from it, step ourselves away from that, clear our minds, maybe even go off the internet, and then allow our minds to become our own and go back to that voice when we're little, this sort of intuition, and then say, well, what do I want? What do I want my mind to focus on? What do I want things to look like? And it might not be any of this stuff at all. And that's what I had to do for X. I had to be like, well, do I want to? Do I want to keep sitting there every day for hours pushing people's ridiculous political stuff so some stupid politician who wants freedom cities can win? And then it doesn't matter if you go on the person's other side, they're just going to do 15-minute cities and the same crap because they're not in charge. Yeah. And so I think we're looking at a psyop within a psyop. Because I think this is meant to give it to you in a ABC 1, 2, 3, and kind of divert you away from digging deeper. Because you're like, oh, there he is. He's the expert. He knows. He's betrayed the government. He's telling us their secrets. And I don't think he's telling you everything. I highly doubt it.
Really look for time.
If he was, he would be dead. They would knock him off in 10 seconds flat. He would not be alive.
Topics that are being avoided, critics that are being silenced. If somebody needs to be silenced in order for an idea to make it, then the idea is not good. So alternative viewpoints being discredited, that's a big one to look out for. So cross-check timelines of events and notice if employees with a grudge. So this shifts the focus away from the legitimate concerns to the motives of the critics. And it does it almost with...
So he's basically talking about like companies where, there's legitimate concerns about the company practice and they start villainizing the people. It's smear campaigning. They start villainizing the person who's doing the complaining is bad or this, so people go against them. So it delegitimizes the legitimate claim.
Without us realizing that that's happening in our brain. So next, be alert to rapid compliance shifts. This one is...
That's the one where, like in the pandemic, where they wanted us to go, follow the arrows, follow this, let's do this. You have to do this. Create, you have to shut down. You have to follow the arrows. You have to put the mask on. Just totally weird behaviors. That's what he's talking about here.
Scary, and it's happening every day. Psyops create urgency.
He's like, it's happening every day, including in this video. Ha 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 ha.
To drive rapid compliance. And these tactics are stuff...
I don't know about you, but this video has this feel of like danger, danger. Like they want us to go out and comply to something. Like he actually is like, hey, this happens and I've got your solution. Go out and buy my courses. I bet you that's where it's going to go at some point.
Like emotional appeals, staged group behaviors, or false consensus. For this, it's really important to slow down and resist the pressure to act, to question the conformity as much as possible, and test the message, engaging the skeptics there. So in the real world, this might look like maybe a viral social media challenge urges all these users
or a viral video talking about a psyop
to adopt this brand new symbol now. So what other events or scandals might this thing be distracting everybody from?
We got to say that. Is this video distracting people from something else? Incognito says Trump is problem reaction solution. We gave him a mandate and he's following parts, but doing other things we don't support. We need to say no and hold him accountable. The Epstein bullshit is a prime example, especially the gaslighting about it. Oh, and now Trump, I didn't want to get political about this, but now he was a secret agent for the FBI. Oh, I just about spit my juice out when I heard that one. I laughed so hard. I was like, yeah, right. It just gets, it's getting so ridiculous. It's more ridiculous than a movie. It's a really bad movie. It's not even a good movie.
So look for very coincidental timing with unrelated major...
So, like I said, this video was released in January, just before Trump took over. I don't know if that's timing. I don't know what's going on here, or that was relevant. I have no idea what it was relevant for, but at the same time, he was appearing on Joe Rogan. And you see all this stuff in podcasts. When they want you to know something, when they want to shift it, suddenly they'll be on podcasts now. They'll be on podcasts you think are independent that are not. Patrick Bet David, Candace Owens will start saying things. Ben Shapiro, whatever it is, Jordan Peterson, suddenly they'll be on there. And those are all calls to authority figures, apparently.
Your news stories or political...
If you don't understand the rules of power, you will certainly lose to someone who does.
Wow.
Because psyops very often use these flawed...
Did you see what he did there in that commercial? That bastard.
...arguments to convince people. And if you know how to spot them, it makes you a lot harder to manipulate. Because psyops very often...
Okay, here we go. What do we got? Appeal to emotion, the straw man argument. Yeah,
you're going to see all the time. Appeal to...
We're going to go through this one because we've talked about the appeal to emotion, straw man arguments.
Actual tool that we use to identify psyops that even rates the likelihood on a one...
It's listen to the music and how devastating it is. So he's got this quick guide. And the thing is we are all so diminished in our ability to have instincts because we've been brainwashed so much. Now we've got his, and this is when they give you documents like this It's probably all bullshit. It's like, here's our scoring system. Who made this scoring system? You should be able to instinctually call out bullshit, and most people can't. This feels like more NLP, because he's using, and we're gonna watch a video where they talk a little bit about the NLP. We're gonna go into. I just get the creeps about this video. This video is actually not straightforward, and it's edited to make you paranoid. Okay. This is from Reddit. This is the book People Who Read People. It says Chase Hughes refers to himself as the #1 expert in behavior and influence. A popular YouTube show that he's on, The Behavior Panel, gets millions of views. Dr. Phil has called him the best on the globe. But Chase's career is built on a foundation of lies and exaggerations, not only in the behavior and psychology space, but also in other pursuits, including pickup artistry and vitamin supplements. Someone said they took his course. A massive part of it is about confidence, to have congruency with yourself. Then he has models to connect and influence people to overlay on top. That makes no sense. I've messed with some of it, but mainly focused on leveling up myself. See, it's another multi-level marketing. It's NLP. It's the way they're describing it. They don't even realizing they're talking about NLP. He routinely addresses with all these skills Bill Clinton would whoop your ass, because he's a called authority. It's a fuckload of going to digest. Yeah, okay. Bullshit artist. After listening to Hughes on DOAC recently, I found him to be a perverted fraud. How is it people extol him? Perhaps he's an expert on fooling people, but he's no expert on anything else. I think all of the innocent people he contributed to incarcerating with his self-important, narcissistic, arrogant lies. So apparently, he's been incarcerated. I'm wondering, someone's saying he's been incarcerated, so that's another interesting. That's very interesting. Let's see here. Okay, so we're going to go over to the behavior podcast, because I think they really expose a lot of criminal behavior, and this guy does not have a clean history. All right, here we go. Chase Hughes, repackaging of old NLP ideas in military SOP as top secret format. So he's just repackaging stuff.
A summary of what I found about Chase, go to my site behavior-podcast.com and look for the first Chase Hughes episode. I've had some people ask questions like, didn't Chase just exaggerate his credentials a bit in a fake it till you make it type way? What's the big deal about that? Or questions like, but Chase has a lot of fans, doesn't that mean he's legitimate now, even if he lied a lot in his past? Some of these people who asked these questions, I think maybe didn't make it all the way through the video, which is understandable as it was an hour long. So if you have questions like that, check out the summary on my site. Long story short though, throughout the 2010s, Chase lied about having all sorts of fame and renown across many areas and industries. Yet it's quite clear he had no renown or respect. There were basically no mentions of him online until the late 2010s, when he started getting on some podcasts. These were podcast hosts who didn't look into his background much and just trusted he was who he said he was. Those appearances created a seeming veneer of respectability online for people who searched his name after that. So in snowball-like fashion, little by little, with more and more podcast appearances, his online presence started to seem more legitimate, at least for people who weren't willing to take even a few minutes to vet him. Personally, I think there are relatively few people who've reached Chase's level of fame who have lied in such major ways about their credentials and experiences. Most people who deceive in such ways are much more subtle and careful about it. The only really surprising thing in all of this is why no one seems to have talked about this stuff until now. Also, aside from his claimed credentials and experiences, the things he has claimed he can do are just simply absurd to anyone who knows about psychology and behavior. But let's get more into that now.
Okay, so we've got false claims of credentials and absurd. Like I said, the minute I watched that video, I knew he was using some kind of NLP, some kind of mind control himself. So I think Fate is really some kind of NLP thing, that he's just dug up some old information that the military might have used and regurgitated it, and then slowly created this persona that he's this professional in military. And that's what I was going to tell you guys, is he's multi-level marketing NLP fraud, and has probably got a dodgy record. So hopefully we can find that in this video.
Let's review a few things Chase has said about his abilities to control people. I'll read from the 2014 version of his website.
All right.
The CIA developed enhanced mind control methods as a matter of public record. The CIA programmers' experiments, ranging from programming sexual slaves to creating hypnotic assassins, even involving teenage girls. The methods they used were elementary at best. The Ellipsis Manual contains world-first information available nowhere else on planet Earth. A person can be hypnotized against their will. A person can and will perform extremely violent and antisocial acts under hypnosis without their consent or knowledge, and will
Well, he's right about some of these things, so this guy may not know that, but they do drugs and all sorts of stuff to control people, 100%. But that doesn't mean that he was in with the military and did these things.
disregard safety, morals, and law. Using the Ellipsis Manual gives an operator complete access to the psychological compromise of almost any human being they encounter.
So he's taking elements that people in this sort of group, tribe, believe about the CIA, and he's packaging them up to sell this book. That's what he's been doing. And that's what he's doing in this video. He's hired someone to edit this video so he can basically sell his books in some kind of weird scandal. It's and without much credential at all.
The Ellipsis Manual teaches operators these more ridiculous claims from his website, but you can still find them via the Internet Archive. Still, Chase's more absurd claims are still out there in various forms. For example, the following comes from his Ellipsis Manual. Establishing and maintaining control of thought, behavior, and emotion. In Section 2, you will learn...
Okay, we're going to keep going. I'm going to go through this. Well, let's get to something else. His book. How can they get good reviews? Well, he just gets a bunch of bots to review it. What is NLP? Here we go.
NLP debunked, and is NLP legit? It's quite a rabbit hole, and I recommend going down it. If you learn about this stuff, you'll see these ideas pop up all over the place in various forms. So it is a good way to be able to debunk related ideas, knowing about this stuff. I'll just go through some NLP basics and some experience strategy to say such things.
Let's look at this.
The NLP
because it goes into
ideas. Chase has also shared those, although I think in the last few years he's been careful in how he talks about them. For example, here's a clip of him on a podcast talking about this.
Is it like eye accessing cues?
Similar. And eye accessing is, don't get me started on that. But
don't worry, I'll bring Greg in. No.
Yeah. Greg and I disagree on some things, but the eye accessing cues were a great start. So it's not that they were trying to BS the world. This was their contribution. Someone added to it and added to it. So people say it's been disproven a whole lot. I think it hasn't been disproven. It's been improved. The understanding of it's improved over time.
So Chase's stance is that these ideas haven't been debunked. They've just been improved. I haven't seen Chase talk about how they've been improved, though. In what way have they been improved? Have they been improved, or is it just a good strategy to say such things?
Here he is. There's a show called The Behavior Panel, and they have him on it. And he looks at people's body languages and decides what they're thinking. I think a lot of this is like kind of silly because I don't know if these guys are legit or not. I think they might be off a lot. They're pretty famous. People think it's neat, thinking you could read people's body language. But
We're
here he
better
is.
because I'm almost certain she broke eye contact down left, but she broke eye contact left for sure. In this down left, anytime you're having a conversation with self and you're thinking about how to navigate words and what you should say next, you'll find people's eyes drift down to their left. So you, when you're talking to someone and they ask you a hard question that you need to put in perspective, you are going to drift down into your left. Now, there can be deviation. It can be hard way over here. It can be somewhere in here, but it's almost always that. I've interrogated a lot of people, and I've never seen a deviation from that one. Now, I don't believe in a lot of absolutes. As you guys all know, that's one I do follow, that and the down right eye movement for emotion.
Could there be some truth to eye direction tells? Sure, many things could be true. I believe there are many behavioral patterns that are used by practitioners.
Okay. I want to know about his credentials. I want to know if he has really had the credentials. That's what... Because a lot of these techniques do work. I just don't think they work as magically as some people think. If you go into the hypnosis and the mind stuff with the CIA and the drugs, I think that's where it's at. But I can't see him say anything about, because he's apparently made a lot of claims about his credentials that are not true. And that would be the big one for me, because this person is really devious. And he's using a call to authority without even having the authority. I mean, it's really bad. It's worse than using a call to authority and the person at least has a degree in English, but they're calling them for doctor information. It's worse than that. Mm-hmm. Okay, there he is. Here he is promoting his supplements. That's what I want to look at.
A serious problem. Chase Hughes has now returned to hyping vitamin supplements of dubious quality. He's returned to his redshift roots. He's been promoting products from a chiropractor named John Lawrence, who Chase refers to as Dr. John. Here's a clip from the Instagram of Dr. John showing him treating Chase.
Tongue out, look down to your right, blow out slowly. Okay. Good. Beautiful.
I would not be letting anybody do that to me. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, that's a lot. What word would you give that emotional release?
Emotional release? He had to like crunch his nose? No.
Permission. Yes.
Site from 2021. It reads, "We use only the finest ingredients and most advanced delivery systems." The word systems is spelled with an apostrophe S. The homepage features a rather silly-looking Dr. John in a white coat, a stethoscope.
There you go. So he's selling all this stuff, and it's multi-level marketing.
And regain my life. In this video, I'll share how these powerful molecules transform my brain health, stop my seizures, and might even help someone you know. You'll learn about the...
All right, we're going to stop that one right now. You can see the guy is essentially pushing, so, he's kind of like a behavioral analyst of dick pills and all that stuff that doesn't necessarily work. It's really deception, but how does it really work? Okay, how does it really work? How do they control the mind? I mean, because they do some of these things. He's right. They do get your attention. They do divert things. Some of his information is accurate. But what they depend on is the little me. Like I told you, they depend on this idea that you're small. They also depend on that if you say something to a mother, all you need is to say it to one person of big influence, and then it spreads. They work on that. That's why they control the media. That's why they put this stuff out there. That's why they give fear. But if you really want to get into the esoterica of everything, you really have to know that a lot of these people are looking at this from a louche concept. Brain gravy. John Connor says it's brain gravy. They're looking at this from a loosh kind of concept and about creating different emotions for energy. It's not just about control. And I think he is just, like I said, he's regurgitating stuff that we already know about how they control us. It's also about energy from you. You know, I talk about cult leaders. And most of the people that we have are cult leaders of some sort. And there's an energy exchange between people. The cult leader can't be the cult leader unless he has people following and listening to him. The people, he can't get that energy up. He can preach, but the people have to fuel that. And then his preaching and his talking fuels them. It's like this exchange of fueling. And that's how it is with our government. That's how it is with everyone. We fuel them, they fuel us in some twisted way. It might feel twisted, but it's this weird exchange. And in order to keep us fueling them, they have to create all these diversions and all of this stuff. And part of that, if you believe that there's this wicked, evil group of people operating from the shadows and doing wicked stuff, part of that is fueling off of our terror, making us afraid. So we will give our energy so that they will go and demolish another country, destroy another person. For them, a lot of this has religious connotations. A lot of this is about these three big religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and all their prophecies and what they believe. It's also about controlling us in this system, keeping us here and cycling us for energy, because they need our energy to go into them so they can survive that hype that we give them and all those concerts. If Taylor Swift shows up, do you remember during the pandemic when people were doing things at empty rooms and it felt weird? Yeah, it did feel weird because that whole connection had been broken that they depend on for energy. That's why everything went a little bit wonky. If Taylor Swift sings at a concert and there's nobody there, it doesn't fuel the magic. It doesn't fuel the spell. It has to really, it's about just that one religion. Yeah. We know. Well, look, all religions are control systems because none of them know what the creative source really is. None of them know where it is. They make up a system and to control you so you don't go off on your own and do your own discoveries and do your own stuff. That's why they'll tell you, don't do this. That's evil. You're going to go to hell. And when hell never existed in the Bible. In fact, in the Bible, they say halal. It actually was a garbage dump in the city. Jesus refers to it. He's telling you, don't do these bad things because your life will be a garbage dump. It's just cause and effect. They want you to think you're going to burn in eternal damnation. And then you really have to go. You shouldn't have to go to a church. You shouldn't have to go to any of these places for this. You might need some people for guidance or to ask some questions, but it's literally inside of you. And that's why they want to control how you think, what you say, what you do, what you believe. And yes, some of these things that he suggested are ways that they do that, or ways that they divert your attention. And NLP it's not without its effects. It's not without its damage. They use it in multi-level marketing. It's their own little ritual. And if you question things, they'll be like, if you're going to question things, you're going to do anything, like they will embarrass you, humiliate you, target you, kick you out of the group, make you feel really negative feelings about not belonging. Because they do know these basic things about humans, that we're tribal, that we have insecurities, that we respond to negative environments. We put out that loosh, we put out the fear that allows them to move. It allows them to move. The guy in the video that criticized him, I just don't think he's aware. I think he's coming at it from this really basic understanding level, but the guy is right about certain things. But his credentials are in question, and he's manipulating people with those same tools right in the video, so you'll go and buy things. And then he's on a behavior panel. looking at body language, and that stuff is not always accurate. That's not always accurate. The behavior panel stuff, they get stuff wrong all the time. Looking at behaviors, I know people, my husband included, because of whatever they've trauma or whatever things they've had in their life, they always act like they're to blame even though they're not. That can happen. It's the owl people. Hey, look, I have owls here. I like owls. I'm not worshiping Moloch. Look, when you go back in a lot of these religions, it's weird that the elites worship them and worship these figures, because way back in history, thousands of years ago, these figures didn't represent any of that. They've turned them into that worshiping stuff. Over time, they've turned them into something really weird and twisted and about getting energy. Now, there's people who believe that what you have to have from the person isn't just their attention, isn't just all this stuff. This is surface stuff. This is how you move things about and how you control certain groups of people and turn people against each other so you have power. Yeah, but there's also this idea that what you need is ritual stuff, that it relies on having access to people's blood, their hair, personal items, things with their energy on it, their DNA engaged all over it. I know people who create spells and hoaxes. The CIA was long studying Aleister Crowley's works for summoning demons. They were studying it. They were trying this stuff out in their laboratories. And Aleister Crowley was a master, apparently, at controlling people. He would say, look at that person. And he would start to mimic their walk and go in this trance, and he would mimic what they were doing. And that person's body would literally do weird stuff. He was able to get in a space where he was mimicking them to a point where he was able to overtake their mind and control little nuances of what they were doing or make them stumble and fall. But he had to engage in their energy. He had to engage in their energy, and he had to mimic them and move and sync himself with their energy to control it. That's why they're syncing with our energy, and they're getting us to sync with these leaders' energy, because it controls us. We're syncing. We're one. We're in this planet. We're not separate. And they're not doing it honestly. They're not syncing with their energy and giving us good mojo. They're syncing with our energy and getting us to sync with theirs so they can control us, so they can do devious plots. And we're just totally unaware of it. Kayshawn says, I'm so insanely angry over the train stab thing. I can't concentrate on anything else this even. Well, okay. So one of the things that they want, that is a tragic scenario. And that is the fault of many governments letting these psychos out. If we had a harsher system for people like that, that wouldn't have happened. But they want you to be upset about that, because that feeds the system, that feeds certain things, that feeds the anger, feeds things, unfortunately. And from what I understand, that individual is going to actually face the death penalty on this, because Trump has stepped in. Because it's a horrendous thing that happened. But I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. And you should mourn that girl and say a prayer for her if that's your process. But don't let that take you away from good stuff or putting out good vibrations, because the more negative stuff you put out, the lower we sink here. And the more you get to choose actually who your energy sinks to. And if you're sinking your energy with all of this stuff that's negative, it's not going to be good for you. It's not going to be good. It's going to be so bad. And that's what they're doing. When Aleister Crowley does this magic and syncs with people, they're using this system to sync us to their needs. Through mimicking us, through mimicking our needs, through mimicking a tribal stuff, through actors who pretend they care, to lure us into this system so they actually start controlling our behavior. It's about mimicry and sinking into energies so they can then manipulate us. And then as they put stuff in transhumanistic things, and they don't even have to get our attention this way now, once we have those implants and stuff in our heads, then they can just press buttons. They don't even have to spend as much time sinking us into them. When I read that report on Aleister Crowley and how he did a body control over somebody, and he was a narcissist, so he was able to control people, especially weaker people. People who were in love with the idea of him, not the reality of him. It was easy to control. They sink you to them, and then they make you become them. That is a dark magician, and that is what they're doing. That's underneath all of this. It's not just you watching TV. It's not just you being triggered. You're being synced with their agenda and their thoughts and their rage. Yeah, I saw an unedited video, other blacks on trains filming her as she bled out. They did. No one did anything for that poor girl. And they want you to despair, though. So what I'm saying is, it's true, it happened, but don't sink yourself to it. Don't sink your energy to it. Because I keep repeating Aleister Crowley, because I'm telling you in a simple form how he did magic on an individual to sink himself and mimic that person and take over them. That is how they are literally using Crowleyite magic with a whole more complex than ever to sync themselves with us, mimic us, and then nudge us and control us slowly. It is dark magic. It is dark witchcraft, you guys. I'm going to play a little bit, a reminder for you, Sean. David Icke video about how you're not the little person. I know it's hard. I know it's hard not to focus on that. But you can't, there's nothing we can do for that girl now. And it's a horrific thing, but you have to, I'm just going to play a more positive, we'll listen to David Icke for a few minutes. I've played this before. Let's just vibe up a little bit.
There's a simple question that comes from it. Why is it that throughout this entire period that a few people have always controlled the many in a hierarchical structure of power? Why is that? And the answer is because the mass of the population has been convinced of its powerlessness, convinced of its subordination to that which it thinks has power, and the ability of the few to continue to manipulate people to have that perception of reality. Simple thing. If 8 billion people, not even 8 billion, even a fraction of them, said, no, we're not doing what the few tell us. We're not doing what the top of the pyramid tells us. We're not doing it. What power does the top of the pyramid have in that sense? None. It has none. And operate with our own enslavement. But people don't do that.
Okay, so when we engage in that kind of stuff, this is a really good example of how they engage us and how they divide us, because unfortunately, whoever those people are dumb, stupid, ignorant. It's showing you what technology has done, where people, instead of calling 911 or assisting that girl to try to stop her bleeding, will stand there and film it, thinking they're going to put it up and get famous. This is the grossness of the system, where you literally see people mimicking each other and trying to get the next viral video and trying to be famous. They're not even authentic. They don't care, or they're literally an NBC or retard level stupid, like 80 IQ, munching on chips and soda pop, that they don't have the brains or the care for another human being. Unfortunately for that poor girl, she didn't know that. She did not know it. And this also gets us to fear, be afraid to go out. And it, puts a bad vibe on the Black population, which a lot of them may be like that. Some of them may not be. It puts you in a record that they want you in. It's the same thing with the people, and you'll see people, they mimic each other. There's nothing unique about them. They're all eating crumble cookies, smacking and slopping and chomping on reels. Like as if the most important thing in life is to listen to them talk about how they liked a crumble cookie and the new crumble cookie this week. That's literally everywhere. And then everybody's imitating each other. So we're all just going to go online and eat crumble cookies and hope people watch us. You know what I mean? And these people probably filmed that thinking they would put that online. This phone can be a tool that does good things, or this phone can make us stupid and dumb and brainless. And the actions of politicians, of course, and law enforcement and DAs can make this country, hell on earth. But we don't want to sink in with that energy for too long. That's why I left X. That's why I stopped doing the politics, because I didn't want to sink in with the crazy crowd that was like, bomb Iran, da, 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 screaming for war after they said they voted for a president for no wars, yelling, yay, freedom cities that are 15-minute cities. The cognitive dissonance is strong and they can't handle it. They probably wouldn't be able to handle. John Connor says, no person or superhero will save you. No, they won't. They like to present a one person as going to save you, but that's not going to happen. The only thing that can help you, even remotely, is to get off that record, put a new record on, and not sync with the system. That's the magic. And people you meet on a one-to-one basis can do that. They'll mimic you. And they're engaging to control your emotions. They'll show you everything you want, and they'll literally start controlling your behavior to feed off of you. And then you'll be like, what happened? Where, how did this happen so fast? It's a kind of magic, and it's psychological, and it's dark, and it's black magic. Hi. Maxie's just come out. He was napping by my feet. And that is essentially what the system does, is a very dark magic that syncs our behavior to them and eventually takes over us. They mimic us to sync us, and then they take over and reveal the true horrors of what they're about to do. You could probably go to any system and they won't say they're doing dark magic. They will say they're just doing policies, or they're just reporting the news. There are so many good things that happen in America every day, and we never hear about it. We just hear about the bad stuff. There's good people in America that do good things all the time, but we never hear that. And the more we hear about the bad, the more we think about it, the more we project it, the more we create more of the bad. Unfortunately, that's how I think it goes. So I'm going to liken it to a record player. They've synced you into music. Music is very controlling. Sit in a dark theater in a scary movie, and it's hard to resist the effects of the music on your system, on your heart, on everything. You got to change the record player because you don't want your mind. And I know that's hard. It's really hard to do when you're so angry about something because it's such a heinous crime. But if you stay on that record player, you'll drive yourself crazy over something you really didn't have control over because you weren't there. And I feel, so bad for that girl's family. But this is really a show. It's showing you how they're using the occult and how they're sinking, and that repetition, that pulling you in, showing the alluring, seductive images, showing the positive images, the sound, the authority figures, a whole veranda, a whole scene constructed to lure your thoughts towards them. It's magnetized, it's hypnotized. Well, you save yourself or you get arrested. You don't want to do anything illegal. You kind of want to be on your own and control your negative thoughts. So right now you're like, it's like you're still on the record player of the negative thoughts. I was there too. You can't, and if you do that, it just keeps going around and around and around. It's a thought pattern in your head, around and around, and that's what they want you to think. And I know it's hard not to. I understand how hard that is not to. It's very hypnotic, and they have algorithms, and they have math. They have all sorts of things that they test. They'll test shows out on children. What was that one? I never set it up. I was actually going to set it up, but they set up shows and they manipulate it so that children get addicted to watching it, and they will show the show to children, and then whatever parts that the children isn't interested in looks away, they edit it out, so they keep it so that the kid gets addicted and they're constantly triggered. That's magic, my friends. They're looking at patterns and ways to manipulate the brain to keep you engaged in their system so you never leave. You will be like the Matrix where you won't get out. And there will be this record that's playing in your head. It's not even you. It's put there. I'm fat. My ass is big. My this and this. That goes through my head all the time. And that's something that's put there long time ago. I never had those thoughts when I was little, before I was 10 years, 12 years old. I never thought like that. That was put there. And their biggest strength is when they get other people in there, and those other people reinforce that message, and they're supposed to be normal people, but they don't realize they're hypnotized, and they put it in you as well. Again, you can't think about that. You can't think about the bioweapon. You can't think about the stuff that they have in you. You kind of have to let go of those thoughts. That's a thought pattern. And now you're afraid, and now you're scared, and you're giving them loosh. I know I struggle with it. You kind of got to go to that place. Like, you might have to turn everything off. Don't tell anyone you're doing. You might have to turn your TV off, turn your news off, put your phone away. You might have to go. And if you're depressed, don't go somewhere alone. Don't do it. Don't stay by yourself. But you might have to turn everything off like you did when you were 4 years old and you played in the sand and you weren't aware of anything. That you didn't care, and it didn't matter what any of this was happening because you weren't aware. They didn't have your mind synced in yet. It's like, when's the last time any of us were at a cabin swimming without a care in the world of what was going on? Never, because we're attached to this. Even for our jobs, for everything, we're attached to this. You have to learn. It's hard. It's discipline. This is the discipline part of white magic, of good magic, of protection, is observing and not absorbing. So I don't know if you have to imagine white light protecting you or a rap coming against you, but if you change your thought patterns, they won't bother you. They'll go away. And you'll be like, how the hell did that happen? But I just want to say I don't know the answer to everything. Obviously, I don't. I'm not an authority on all this, but I know that if you stay in that, my life got better. There's still issues. Everyone's going to have issues. But my mentality got better as soon as I left X and stopped going on and being obsessed with what people are writing for my news, my stuff, when I became more like, no, I have to go back to esoterica. I have to go back to talking about, the positive things we can do just day by day. I don't care if it's sitting there having your glass of tea in silence with your favorite classical music or rock music. I don't care if it's going outside and mowing the lawn or taking a walk with your dog. It's got to be something that's outside of their loosh. Remember, when people are rotating around Mecca, that's a representation of Saturn. They're doing that. They are literally brainwashed. They're like, when you're actually there, it's a tough situation. John Connor's referring to Daniel Penny and how self-defense is under fire in America. Yeah, and that's something to focus on how you want it to be in your mind rather than on what it is. So if we go back every day and we think about, this is how I want America to look. This is how I want America to look. And Visualize it, feel it in your heart, get lighter. I want America to be a just place. I want criminals to face this. I want people to be able to, they don't have to know you're doing it, Sean. You do it in your mind, because your mind manifests things and it slowly shifts things. They won't even know you're doing it unless you've got something they can read your mind with. They won't even know you're doing it. You just do it and change your thoughts and feel the good feelings you want to feel. That's how you get out of them pulling you into their record and everything that they do. It took me forever to get out of the crazy diet and fitness industry where I was like, go, 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 go. I changed my mind and it just drifts away slowly and magically. But if you stay engaged in that, they've got you in their spell. You didn't have to do anything because you weren't there. But you want to visualize how you want it, not how you don't want it or not how it is. That's why people who change the world vision what they want. They don't visualize what it is. And that's a discipline that you have to have. You have to discipline yourself. When you have a negative thought, you have to be like, no, I know that happened, but this is how I want it. This is how I want it to feel. I want to feel safe. I want to feel protected. I want to feel honored for being European American. I want to feel like I want to know that people are protecting me and protecting other citizens, and that bad people pay consequences. This stuff is meant to despair us. I guarantee you that. It is meant to despair us, and it is dark magic at its hull. Okay, I'm going to tie this one up. I've been here for an hour and a half. You can check that out. There's some positives about what he says in that video. There's some truths, but it's mixed in with his own weaving to manipulate you to buy and engage with him. And I'm not so sure. I don't know if he's controlled. I don't even know if he has a military background. I definitely suspect he has a multi-level marketing background. So that is that. This Thursday, we will be here 9 p.m. Eastern. I have it's a spooky paranormal show. It's not even vampires this time. Michigan Rob's coming on the show. Bigfoot Michigan Rob, and he's going to talk about his ghost experiences, his Bigfoot experiences. So we're going to have a good night. That's at 9 p.m. Eastern. Next Tuesday, I'm probably going to get into some topics on we're going to be kicking off the Halloween in October. So I'll probably get into that, talking about history of Halloween and different Wiccans and poetry and how important language is in spellcasting. We're going to do that on Tuesday. Next Thursday, though, there isn't going to be a show. This Thursday, there's a show. Next Thursday, there's not going to be a show because I have too much to do, but we're going to be kicking it off. Hopefully, I will have a guest at the end of September, and then I have a whole lineup. I will announce it. We're going to have a cool show on the 30th of October. Oh boy, sorry. I just had super dry throat. We're going to have a cool Halloween show. Go on the channel under the posts. Eventually, I'll announce all the guests that are happening in October. It's going to be vampires, October. It'll be great. But I'm going to sign off, guys. Remember, follow on the Substack. That is melissadonharris.substack.com. Be sure to subscribe on the YouTube channel if you're visiting here now, or visit the website. It's got all my links to TikTok. It's got the Substack. It's got the Instagram. All that stuff. You can go there, melissadonharris.com. Remember, you're not a little you. Your thoughts matter. And I don't just mean that from this whoop-de-doo-dah cheery way. I mean, what you project out makes reality. And they know this. That's the magic. You don't want to sync yourself to what they're doing. You want to sync yourself to your own destiny and how you want things to be. They never taught you this in school because school's about brainwashing you. They never teach you this. Incognito says, but the more we protect ourselves, the less it will happen. The best thing is to have situational awareness and avoid dangerous situations. Yeah. And you know what? Yeah. I won't put that up, Sean, but yeah, there are people who are saying, hey, let them run things if they think they know how to run things. Let them run crap if they think they know how to run stuff. I don't think that'll be very wise, but you have to project what you want in the world, and they've never taught us that. That's the real magic, is to control your thoughts in your mind. And right now, when we're talking about the negative stuff, they're controlling our thoughts in our mind. And it is a terrible atrocity, but let's go all practice. I don't know, maybe we'll do a practice episode where we practice our thoughts and where they go. I can't tell you what you want. That's in your heart. It's not in mine. A cult leader will tell you. That's how you know I'm not a cult leader. I'm also not a cult leader because I couldn't be a cult leader. They got to manage everybody and control everything. That would exhaust me, just having 2 people following me around. I get exhausted with the dogs following me around. My God, could never be a cult leader. But only you know in your heart what that is. But you're so used to being controlled and triggered to buy, purchase, be afraid, push wars, push hatred, push division. You're so used to it because they've been doing it for so long that you've never been actually told to stop, distance yourself, go somewhere and actually see what your thoughts are doing, clear them out, and see if you can put on a positive track in your head. Positive track in your head. Oh, Valiant Thor, we're ending the show. You can watch it on a rewatch. Dang, love this channel already. Thank you so much, Valiant Thor. I really appreciate the love because this is how this channel is going to grow, my friends. A psychic self-defense show would be useful. Well, think about that. Because I don't want to present myself as some guru in psychic self-defense, but maybe I can find somebody who will talk with me about it. We'll see about that. Thank you, Textile Treasure Talk. That's a really good advice. Make me dictator of the country and I'll fix everything in a week. Hey, don't say that. Trump said that. You would be up against some brutal, brutal people. You would be. They would probably try to take you out. Let's go manifest what we want. And you don't even have to tell anybody about it. You just have to daydream like when you were a little kid about how you want things to look. That's the fun thing. You get to play again. All right, guys, I'm going to cover this one up. I will see you on Thursday with Michigan Rob, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, 9 p.m. Eastern. Be here.